What I discovered was that people have a lot of stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to Paintology. Today I want to talk to you all about how I travel with VIPKID and what I bring. Probably pretty similar to many of you, when I was brand new with VIPKID as teacher pay, I was scouring the internet for videos on classroom setups to see kind of what things I needed to buy so I could be prepared and have everything I need to teach my first couple of classes. What I discovered was that people have a lot of stuff. And my intention was to travel with VIPKID to be as flexible as I can in this job or side gig, whatever you call it for you. And that didn't really seem that possible with what I was finding on these tutorials. Today I am simply here to tell you it doesn't have to be this big production. These are kids we're working with and they are so just happy that we're there with them, that we're spending time with them to teach them English. So that's what I'm here to share with you today, is how I keep it very simple. I travel with my little tote that I'll show you in a second, and that's really all I need. I don't bring anything else other than what's in my little tiny basket, and it's the same thing I teach with when I'm at home. So this is my teaching basket. You can see it's a little basket. I think it's actually meant for paper storage. But this is all I need. I put this in the back seat of the car, just like this, right next to my dog. I have everything I need on my road trip. When it's time to run inside somewhere and teach, it takes me maybe 5 minutes to set up my computer, plug everything in, get my props where I like them, where I can just grab them super easily. So simple, and there's really not that much stuff in here. So the beautiful thing about this is that there is nothing outside of this basket that I use to teach. Absolutely nothing. So I have my computer in here, my headset, all of my props are in this bin, and I even have everything I need to hang on the wall for a background. So this is my MPOW headset and all of the cords that I need to go with my computer. As you can see, it's a nice little bundle, so I just unwrap it, plug it in, and I'm ready to roll. It has a extra phone cord because I use a lot of digital rewards for my older students. My phone is never dead. It has my MPOW headset plugged right into it, and then my Lume Cube as well, which is this little light that I'm using right now actually because it's so portable. If you haven't seen my teaching technology, what I use video, I talk about that in there. So next is my computer. This is a rose gold MacBook Air that I have stored in here, and that is my main teaching device. Bada bing. And then I have the power cord in here, ready to go, also all wrapped up. So it's just very neat, organized, and I never have to waste time kind of finding things and rumbling around with cords. All right, so there is that. So next up is my backdrop. I keep it very simple. I spell out my name with these cute little pom-pom letters. It's just so easy to throw these up on the wall. The kids remember my name. It helps my bookings. It's a cute and simple backdrop that aids in their just learning environment. And it's always worked very well for me. And I always have my tape in here as well. And that is all I use for a backdrop. Occasionally I will also pack this battery powered string light, but that is actually in my office right now, hanging up as a semi-permanent backdrop, so I didn't want to take it down. So this is the biggest prop I use. Say hey, Mitz. Oh, we're tired. We're so tired today. So next up are my 2 stuffed animals that I bring with me that are actually Mitty's dog toys. So that helps because we travel and she's bringing 2 of her toys to play with, and I have 2 props always. And thankfully she's not really a toy ripper, so these will stay intact forever. So I bring a frog with really long arms, and this is super helpful for trials and the little kids where you talk about big, small, things like that, and we can talk about the anatomy of the frog, what color he is, what sounds he makes, what if he jumps, if he walks, things like that. And then the other stuffed prop that I use is this tiger, which is obviously a dog toy as well, but the kids think that it's so funny that he has such a long neck, and a lot of them are like, is that a tiger? They're just really thrown off, and it's cute. If you teach for VIPKID, you know that there are 2 trials that have the word tiger in it, and you say tiger like 900 times. And so this comes in handy for those especially, but I use it for a lot of classes actually. And same thing, you can talk about the length of the neck, his little arms, his tail, his color, etc. So next up, I have a whiteboard. This is the perfect size to hold up in front of me to write math problems out for my older kids and to write phonics out for my younger kids. I use this almost every single class. And then of course, along with my whiteboard, I have my beautiful colored Expos. It was like Christmas when I got these in the mail. I was so excited. There's tons of different ways to use these. You can draw rewards, especially if you have so many colors. You can say, you know, would you like me to try to draw a cat today? Whatever it may be, it really helps with math problems if you can write out the symbols like plus or equals or minus, division, in a different color than the numbers, things like that. I don't remember how I taught without these, and I did for a good few months, and I could never go back. So definitely buy a set of bright colored Expos and a big whiteboard if you are new to VIPKID. So along with that is just a plain paper towel for wiping off the whiteboard. I always hated the erasers that it comes with, so I just use that and replace it when needed. I have my tape that I use for my background like we talked about. So next is just a printed at home, super old piece of paper that says Teacher Peyton that I found in a fun font. So at the beginning of every single class with a new student, I say, "Hi, my name is Teacher Peyton." It's just very easy. Most of the time they say, "Peyton." Super cute. And then if they are a new student, I will say, how old are you? If they don't understand that, if they don't really grasp that, I will hold up this prop, which I keep on the bottom of my basket, and I say, how old are you? And if they still don't get it, I can hold these up and say, are you 6? 6? Really helps out to have a movable prop. We can count the little animals in here. This, I really hesitated to put in my basket and bring with me. It's my nephew Wolfie's. Hey Wolfie, thank you. But oh my goodness, I am so glad I did. I have started with this from the beginning. And then to end the introduction part of my lesson, I always say, are you from China? And then I might say, if they seem like they're comprehending what we're talking about, I'll say, where in China do you live? Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, where? And they might say like, oh, I live in Shanghai, like, you know where Shanghai is or something. It's really fun. We can make those connections. And then I say, I live in America, in Pennsylvania. Do you know where Pennsylvania is? To this day, no one knows where Pennsylvania is, but it's cool. So then recently I added these from New Year's. So I'll just hold them up if we're talking about what do you see? I'll say, what do you see? Or if they're really not paying attention or being really loud and kind of goofing off or something and mom and dad aren't nearby, I'll kind of be like, where are you? Really grabs their attention, which is great to kind of redirect them to the lesson. The next set of props are my paper props, and they are actually the first props that I ever had when I was getting ready for my mock lesson and super nervous. So I looked at the lesson I was going to be teaching for that mock class, and I went to the internet and looked up a black and white kite, black and white boy throwing a ball, and a black and white girl. Printed them out and I colored them. You can tell these things are janky. They have seen some things. Oh my, but I still use them to this day for big and little kids alike. Ooh, you know, I use this all the time. In order to make these movable, I put them on colored pencils, just that I had laying around that weren't getting any other use anyway. This just goes to show that you can keep it so simple and your students love it anyway, or just as much or more than the fancy schmancy 9 billion props that people use. The next thing I travel with is something I actually just picked up 2 weeks ago in the dollar section at Target. It's a Mickey and a Minnie wooden standing figure. These are just really nice for the little kids that I don't really want to use the digital props on. I just feel like they're already online learning, they're getting a lot of digital stimulation, and so I would rather just kind of use a Aurelia prop and just say like, good job, you get a hat for Minnie. Now I'll give them an option of what should Minnie wear? And they can do what they want for their reward. So the next thing I have in here are these little cards, and this one comes in handy for the new interactive trial lesson that talks about sea animals and sea creatures. I also have one that's flowers, and ooh for moon, and fur for frog. So these are super helpful for the phonics part of the lesson. Okay, and then when it comes to actual living things other than the tiger and the frog, I have 2 dogs and a girl. So I have a blue rhino, a green alligator, and a yellow giraffe. And alligator is actually a word that comes up quite a lot in lessons, and they really struggle with alligator. Almost every single kid I've ever had has never heard of alligator, but they hear crocodile and they just get so confused that there could be one other term for a very similar animal in America, and they're just cute little wooden props. Alright, and then I added this little guy because I started teaching the interactive Starlight lesson about crabs and other animals, and this is so fun. And we even talk about the word claw, so it's super nice to just be able to hold this up and explain kind of what that is. So then, y'all, once everything else is out, I pretty much am left over with a bunch of plastic food. There are a lot of lessons that talk about breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or trials that talk about, bananas and hamburgers. Plus, the look on their face is absolutely priceless when I say, "What kind of food do you like?" And they say, "I like eggs." And I'll hold this up and say, "You do? I like French fries." And it's just fun to kind of have the banter back and forth and see their shocked face when I always have their favorite food. So I actually have tons and tons of these that I leave home, and these are the ones that I find that I actually use on a regular basis. And it's fun to talk about the colors, kind of what part of America these may come from. So I love the plastic food. It's a big go-to for me. And there's just a couple things left in here. I always bring a cup, some utensils, just to kind of explain how these work in America versus chopsticks. We talk about the purple color a lot, which is fun. And then there's only one lesson, I believe, that talks about the quarter, but I didn't have one in here when I taught it. And then luckily I taught it the very next day and I was prepared. You can also play games with this for rewards and say heads or tails, kind of explain that. All right, and then the last thing in my pink little bucket here is my iPad. They always recommend that you have a backup teaching device, and this is what I use for mine. You unfortunately cannot teach on a cellular device quite yet. I'm not sure if they're ever going to allow that or not. Just have some sort of backup just in case. So at the end of the day, what I hope you were able to take away from this was that you don't need these big, crazy, expensive, flashy props in order to get your students' attention or to make them like you. It's just you and the student, and if you're being honest with yourself, they're showing up for you every single day. Their parent has chosen you to teach them, not your prop. So just keep it simple and you'll be able to travel and do what you want with this job. I will insert some clips here about what my classroom looked like on the go this summer and then over the past month and a half, where we traveled to South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then back essentially to Pennsylvania. This was my very first background. I hung up an extra sheet that I had and we rolled with it. This is from the very first class I ever taught. I was at my cabin out eating ice cream, got a notification on my phone that I was booked for a bunch of classes in a row, was super unprepared, but put some stuff on the wall and just did it. This setup was from John's cabin. You can see I have my string lights hung up there. I also used to use this background that I don't carry around with me anymore. And there are also a couple things in this video that I didn't find a use for anymore, so I no longer bring them with me. This was at my mom's house in Maple Grove, Minnesota. We were here for a few weeks at a time, so I was able to really set up a consistent background. This was at John's cabin again a few months later. It's kind of funny for me to look back and watch these and see how as time goes on I bring less and less with me and I don't lose any of my students, which is the best part. And then this clip and the following are both at my mom's house in Minnesota. She was actually in the process of moving during this time, and so she asked if I would teach in the nursery, which I played to my advantage and used all the cute little jungle things for my trial students. And this goes to show that you can do this job from virtually anywhere. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me that you take your time and come along with me on this journey. I would be honored if you would want to use my code as a new VIPKID teacher so that we could chat and I could come alongside you and show you kind of some behind the scenes things of what I used to teach. I could help you through your mock induction, etc. No pressure at all, but my code is here and it's also in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye! So a little bit of a bonus hack that I have for you guys is to find something that can double as a teaching stand. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I get somewhere, I unpack everything. I flip this over. I put my bucket of props on it, obviously with the ones taken out that I'm going to use to teach. Put my computer on that and boom, I'm ready to go. Even if I don't have a desk, I just put it on the floor and I'm ready, and it's more at an eye level than it would be if I were just trying to hold my computer up and my props at the same time. Works wonders, and you're never without a stand or your props, and it's all in one. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful and blessed week. Bye guys.